Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Blue Jays Today, folks, where you boys always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. We've got some updates surrounding the latest free agency news and rumors going on around the Toronto Blue Jays camp right now. Stuff regarding Teoscar Hernandez, the latest involving the trade market, potentially with the Cleveland Guardians again, and just in general, what is happening with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So we're going to get into all of that and more. We are getting very, very close, folks, to that Christmas break. So I'm really hoping that this week it can pick up in steam, pick up in momentum. We get some moves going, and then we have a quiet Christmas. But knowing fucking Ross Atkins, he is going to slowly ramp it up, and then come Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, he's going to go insane mode. We're going to be scrambling, having to do stuff. It is what it is, but hopefully this week the Blue Jays can make some moves.
Absolutely. If you guys remember, the 2 Christmases ago, I think it was like 4 days before Christmas.
It was. I remember specifically December 23rd.
December 23rd.
That was the Dalton Varsho trade.
It was Dalton Varsho, and then there was the Kevin Kiermaier signing.
That was on the 26th or 27th, one of the two.
I think it was IKF was like on like after that as well. Like it was like a back-to-back thing. So like it always happens around Christmas, and you wonder why, eh? We miss out on all the big guys, and then we're left with the scraps that nobody wants to talk to during Christmas, and we're kind of there.
Yeah, that's definitely that is one way of looking at it. I hope that that's not the truth, but you know, it could be this time around. Welcome into the 182 people in here right now. If you guys haven't already done so and you're enjoying the content, please make sure to hit that like and smash the subscribe button, folks. Also, very quickly, Adam Canning, go Pack. Go. It's Victory Monday, baby, both for the Arizona Cardinals and the Green Bay Packers. So we're feeling good right now. Let's transition into some Toronto Blue Jays news. And let's start with a good old Canadian boy, Josh Naylor. Now, we know that the Toronto Blue Jays have a pretty good trade relationship with those Cleveland Guardians. I will indicate to you the example from last week in Andrés Giménez. One of their elite players, Josh Naylor. He is a Canadian kid. He took Adam deep. A decade prior, Adam tried to toss in or put the 12-6 curve in there. It did not work.
Nice 60-mile-per-hour 12-6 curveball. That was a joke to him. I actually was just watching highlight videos of him back in high school, and like, because I'm trying to remember, I'm trying to get my memory fresh. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. That was a scary MFer. Back in high school.
Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, he made you look silly. He's made a lot of people look silly in the MLB, man. Like, this is somebody who is really damn good. And because he is so damn good, he's probably getting out of the price range for the Cleveland Guardians. He's on the last year of his deal, and there's been a lot of trade speculation that even after getting rid of Andrés Giménez, they could be looking to ship him off, and a great landing spot for that guy would be the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no secret the Blue Jays are looking for a power bat, and Josh Naylor would be that kind of guy. I mean, look at this guy's career. It's a pretty darn good career. 776 OPS plus of 118 last season. But in the career, this guy's had 84 home runs last year, hit over 30. That's a power guy right there, and he has a pretty decent batting average to go along with it. And what's great about it all is, hey, he's Canadian. Why not come over and play? This is a guy, again, less hurdles that we have to fight with when trying to convince people to come back and play for Toronto. This guy's from outside the city. I mean, hell, my girlfriend is like staying in Mississauga right now. I could take a train and I'm there.
Right.
He'd be right there in the GTA area. So what better reason than to trade for him with an old Canadian boy like him? Because here's the report, everybody. Before the Andrés Giménez trade, the Blue Jays actually had interest, according to Ben Nicholson-Smith, that they were interested in Josh Naylor. And maybe that whole negotiation with the Guardians, people toss around names. I'm sure Josh Naylor's name was tossed around when regards to talking about a trade. What do you think, Nick? Like, do you think, even though we got the Andrés Giménez trade done, do you think maybe want to go call him up again and maybe look at maybe a Josh Naylor trade of some sort?
Well, I think from a Blue Jay standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. Now, I don't think it actually makes that much sense from a Guardians standpoint because I think that if you're the Cleveland Guardians, even though you're probably going to lose him to free agency next year, I think that you hold on to the guy and you just try to run it back one more season because you guys were damn good last year. You made it almost all the way to the World Series. You're looking at the American League right now, and especially their division, and you're thinking, okay, well, what's the competition, right? Like, there are beatable teams out there. So from a Blue Jay standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. From a Guardian standpoint, I don't know, and I think that that's probably why in those trade negotiations he didn't end up coming over here, and it was Andrés Giménez. I think that if you're the Toronto Blue Jays at this point, you've probably made the calls and you've tried your best to exhaust that option. Now you have to go and you got to look at free agency. You probably got to look at a Pete Alonso. You probably got to look at some other guys. If you miss out on all of those guys, though, that's when you pick up the phone again and then you call them back. Because I would anticipate, though, that, let's face it, they were in deep conversations last week. It was Andrés Giménez that moved. I imagine that the Cleveland Guardians are probably hesitant to get rid of him.
Of Josh Naylor, you mean?
Yes.
I mean, yes and no, because you saying from their perspective doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, that's assuming that their perspective is we want to win and stay competitive, but it's also the Guardians, and they're a small market team. And teams like the Guardians, the Rays, I guess the Athletics, you're looking at the Milwaukee Brewers, they operate completely differently because they have a completely different budget, right? Josh Naylor is going to make $15 million estimating this year. That's a lot of money for the Guardians. Like, even though he is a quality player that can help you win, they just play by different rules. Like, they just cannot afford that money. And then especially when you look at upcoming free agency, he's projected to get $100 million contract, $20 million per year. That is a lot of money, again, for a Guardians team. And, Jeff Passan, we're going to bring it up a little bit later, but typically first basemen, that their main skill is I'm a hitter and less defense, they kind of age poorly. So from a Guardian standpoint, do you want to invest that money in him, or do you want to take that 1 year of trade value and send him off now, start replenishing the system, because that's what the Guardians do?
And all of that makes sense, but it's clear, though, that having just spoken to them, whatever their price is to trade him away is too high for us right now. Because clearly, like you said, obviously his name was getting thrown around.
Yeah.
Obviously they were like, all right, we're listening, but, I'm not saying this is what they said, but we need Vladdy, or we need, we need Ricky Tiedemann, or whatever it was. And as of today, the price is too high, and I think that's why, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, it's like, all right, we know he's there. We know that they're probably open to getting it done, and we also know what their price is for him in terms of a trade package. We're not willing to pay it right now. That's why you go to the free agent market, in my opinion. You exhaust those options. It's like, okay, well, we're not willing to give up Ricky Tiedemann right now for Josh Naylor, whatever it is.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
Let's go and, trade or try to sign a Pete Alonso. If you whiff on all of those guys, though, then you're in that desperation mode where it's like, okay, well, now maybe we do need to call the Guardians back up again and try to renegotiate this thing and find a common ground. Because, I do think that they would be willing to get rid of him. I think that, I guess what I was trying to say is, as of right now, like, it's clear the price is too high for the Toronto Blue Jays to do it, in their opinion anyway.
Yeah, and we'll see what kind of package they're looking for, too, because the Guardians, what they did with Spencer Horwitz, they took him and turned him into, like, 4 different prospects.
They did, yeah.
So it's like, are you looking for multiple darts, or are you looking for, like, 1 or 2 big darts? We'll see what it's like. Also, just see Brady in here saying both Naylor boys would be great for this team. I mean, hell, we're looking for a catcher. Go get Bo Naylor. Go get Josh Naylor. That'd actually be so nasty.
That'd be incredible, yeah.
That.
And I would love that. And fuck, that'd be great for the channel too. Because I mean, we could message the guy right now and be like, "You remember when you took me deep?" He probably doesn't.
Probably not. No, I actually thought about that. I'm like, if there's ever a time when I was talking to Josh Naylor, I'm gonna bring it up. I'm like, you took me deep in high school. He'd probably be like, I don't know.
I took a lot of people deep in high school, guys.
I'm just one of thousands of people who took deep.
That's the thing. Like, ultimately, from a Blue Jays standpoint, like, let's be very clear here. He would be great, right? You look at the numbers, and I mean, so many people get caught up in, like the OPS and the, the slugging and the on base and all that shit, and obviously those are very, very important. But just from a production side of things, plating runs, like literally putting numbers on the board, that's the most important thing.
Right.
Putting the number on the scoreboard is what will inevitably help you win. He had 31 home runs last year and over 100 RBIs. So, the guy was putting numbers literally on the board consistently. And this is somebody that I think you can immediately be like, all right, He's batting behind Guerrero. We're comfortable with it. I don't know if you extend him or not, because obviously you got to deal with Vladdy, and that is still its own conversation. But yes, I do like him in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. So that's that's a market that we're going to see develop in the next, I don't know if it's really going to develop before Christmas or the holidays.
It depends what happens with the free agents.
It all depends. That's what I'm thinking, right? Because there's a lot of dominoes that still got to fall. You still got to have Pete Alonso fall. You still got to have Christian Walker fall, right? And then maybe people start exploring a potential trade with a Josh Naylor. Speaking of Pete Alonso, that's a guy that's been awfully silent. We haven't heard a lot of word about Pete Alonso.
I'm surprised.
What his market is, and we're surprised because, dude, was he was Rookie of the Year? No,
he won Rookie of the Year. He has had years well over 50 home runs.
Yep.
I mean, like this is what's crazy to me. Okay, and actually, let me paint the whole picture for you. Jeff Passan came out with an article, and he was talking about why the market is quiet right now for Pete Alonso. And effectively, the whole argument was, well, this is a, aging first baseman, power first guy.
Yeah.
We have seen, there's not a ton of contact with Pete Alonso, right? You're relying on the home run ball. And we've seen it happen time and time again where, as some of these guys get older, well, maybe the power starts to dip off a bit. We're seeing it with George Springer right now, different position, but, same.
Yeah.
The power starts to dip off. And let's face it, if Pete Alonso isn't hitting 30-plus home runs a year,
worthless.
It's, why would you be paying him the $25 million or whatever it is that you would be paying him? And to that point, I hear you. I get it. The least amount of home runs that Pete Alonso has ever hit is 34 home runs. So I fully recognize that there is risk associated with getting somebody that's, power first, but there's risk with every fucking guy on the market right now. Like, that's just the way of it. And ultimately, if your floor is 34 home runs, put him in the Blue Jays uniform.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if he hits under 30, it's like, ugh, that's not what we paid for.
Not feeling good. Yeah.
We're paying for over 30, if not 40 is the upside, absolutely. But, I mean, that's Jeff's whole point is, well, there's other guys we can get that's less risky. Like, go trade for Josh Naylor. He's 27 years old right now. There's a lot more years left in that guy. You could go get Christian Walker, who is a little bit older, and it's less risk. If he does suck, well, then he's gone the following years. Or you could go trade for a Cody Bellinger, have the Cubs eat some of that money up, and he's also got some outfield eligibility. You could have him have better legs. You could have him hit with an higher upside. Like, there's obviously risk in it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if that's less risky than Pete Alonso. Here's the thing.
You have the Yankees prioritizing the trade of Bellinger over signing Pete Alonso. So that tells you something right now. If they want to go get their first baseman, they can go and try and get Pete Alonso.
Okay, well, that tells me, though, Pete Alonso is going to be more money than Cody Bellinger. That doesn't mean that he's going to be less risky. Like, that tells me that the Yankees don't want to invest the $180 million into Pete Alonso, but they might be more comfortable investing in the $50 million in Cody Bellinger.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
exactly.
That's all that says to me. I do think pound for pound, like, let's face it, we're taking Pete Alonso over Cody Bellinger in a 1-for-1. Like, who would you rather have today?
Yeah, for today, for next year, yeah, absolutely. But then, looking again, like you brought it up, the overall risk of a longer Alonso contract versus a 1 or 2 year of Cody Bellinger. You know what I mean?
That's
get rid of that guy, right?
Yeah, and again, it all depends because you got to factor in the trade, and then are they paying some of the contracts?
Right.
So they're obviously going to exhaust those options to see, well, do we need to pay the $180 million? I'm just throwing that number out there right now because that feels like a number that could be around Pete Alonso. Do we need to pay that? Well, while they're deciding whether or not they need to pay that or not pay that, I truly believe that the Toronto Blue Jays should at least be entertaining the idea of paying that, because this is your moment right now while the Yankees are caught flat-footed after the Soto loss and trying to recoup all this value and trade for Cody Bellinger. I mean, look, Toronto Blue Jays won 74 games last year. I get that he's risky, but everybody that's on the free agency market right now, whether it be Teo, whether it be Santander, whether it be Alex Bregman, everybody that's left from a hitting standpoint, you could give me
all risk.
Exactly. Like, it might be a different risk than Pete Alonso's risk, but there's risk in every single one of them in their own capacity, right? You can make the same argument about Santander that you're making for Pete Alonso.
It's the same
exact same argument, right? So there's going to be risk with all of these guys, but we do know for certain that having Alejandro Kirk bat fourth on the Toronto Blue Jays is not a sound strategy. And if you go to RotoChamp right now, that's where he's batting. Yeah. I don't think that this is a winning ball club's lineup or mentality that we would be rolling out if that is where we're at. So I say go out and take that risk.
Well, to Jays Journal's point, they're kind of saying, well, because Jeff Passan's recent comments are saying that nobody is going to be in on Pete Alonso. I mean, this is literally Jeff Passan, guys. He's the guy who drops the bombs.
He is the one dude. Like if he's going to speculate on something, it's probably closer to being accurate than not.
Yeah, so obviously he knows there's not much market out there for him, and Jays Journal being said that, what's been the biggest problem the Jays have faced all free agency? There's another team out there that's more attractive, better set up to compete for the long haul than the Toronto Blue Jays. Well, if there's nobody competing for Pete Alonso, well then Jays can go swoop in and get him right away and just pay him the most. Like if that's what he's looking for. Go theoretically. However, I will say, I think once this Cody Bellinger thing gets settled, or whether it gets traded to the Yankees or not get traded to the Yankees, I think teams are then going to look at Pete Alonso, because I think Pete Alonso himself, he's waiting for the Yankees to make a decision whether they're going to get Cody Bellinger or not, because he's a perfect replacement. He's already in New York. He goes over to place with the Yankees. They're missing Anthony Rizzo. Go fill out that first base bag. So he wants someone to drive up that market as well.
Yeah, and I do think it's in his best interest to wait it out, right? Like, I'm sure he'd take a call with the Toronto Blue Jays and, hear what they have to say. But if we're, trying to use that to our advantage and, like, thoroughly, undervalue him, well, I mean, he's going to know that. I think that this is your opportunity to actually value him properly and have him listen to you. Right. Because like you've said, right, like we have been running into teams that just are better suited and better set up than the Toronto Blue Jays. We're probably dealing with that right now when it comes to Corbin Burns and the San Francisco Giants. So this isn't an opportunity for Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro to save a couple bucks because the market isn't working out for Pete Alonso. This is just your opportunity to actually get one across the finish line. It still requires you to offer him a lot of money because you do need to convince him to come here. So I don't think this is an opportunity for them to skimp out, but it could be a moment in time where a couple people are looking elsewhere. You strike on a Pete Alonso, and listen, man, like to Jeff Passan's point, everyone can point. I get that there's risk involved, but I mean, I still believe in Pete Alonso. I still think that guy behind Vladimir Guerrero Jr. would be extremely successful. Yeah. And maybe when he's 33 or 34, it's not as good, and you are getting only 22 home runs or whatever it is. But I think next year he'd be really damn good on the Blue Jays, and that's all I care about right now.
That's all we really care about. I mean, if Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro, if they're just trying to compete for next year, then you go get guys that are going to be good next year. And you forget about the future, just give him the money, lock him up right now, and move on. Speaking of power hitters, guys, Teoscar Hernandez, that was a guy that was floating around in Blue Jay land. We talked about him on the last Blue Jays Today show, how the Blue Jays could be the runner-ups to the Dodgers for Teoscar Hernandez, and we're all kind of sitting on pins and needles right now. Like, when is he going to sign? Like, hello, like let's get this going already. Well, we heard a little bit of rumblings come out from the Dodgers, and specifically Dave Roberts, who was being interviewed and talked about Teoscar Hernandez. Now, this is a very small quote, so if you can't read it, I'll read it out for you. Dave Roberts says in an interview, Teoscar Hernandez, I love Teo, and I think we're close to bringing him back. Boom, boom, boom. I pray. Everyone say your prayers so we get Teo done so we can come here back in Dodger blue as well. That's the manager of the Dodgers. Obviously, we know managers aren't as heavy into the free agent talks as much as the GMs, and they're kind of they speak more openly about wanting guys than the GMs do. Wow. So, I mean, but if this tells you anything,
and also,
then it's something.
Okay, you're saying that about the GMs and stuff. When was the last time that John Schneider came out and said, yeah, I think we're close on a Vladdy extension.
Yeah, no,
or
never.
Or I think we're close on bringing, this guy back.
He did come out and say, I'm hopeful we get a power bat. He did say that.
Okay.
If that means anything to you.
And I mean, but again, that is, I think that's just a generic, whatever thing. Uh-huh. This is actually Dave Roberts coming out and saying, I think we're close on Teoscar Hernandez.
I'm bringing him back.
The point being, it's just credit to them for saying stuff and then going and backing it up. And it's I believe him. I believe him. I believe that you're close. And And honestly, what this feels like, guys, same situation right now with Teo is going on with Corbin Burnes. It kind of feels like you have two places where the guy wants to go. In Corbin Burnes' situation, it's the San Francisco Giants. In Teoscar Hernandez' situation, it's the LA Dodgers. That's where they want to go. But those teams, knowing that they want to go there, are probably lowballing them a little bit.
Yeah.
And they are trying to use the Toronto Blue Jays as leverage to get that number a little bit higher. It genuinely feels like for these two guys right now, like I don't know if we actually have a shot with either of them.
Dude, we don't, man. Like it's all coming to crashing down in my reality right now. Like we're not getting Corbin Burnes. I'm sorry, y'all, that you're gonna
probably
hate
not
saying this, but we're not getting Corbin Burnes. We're not gonna get Teoscar Hernandez. I genuinely think the only guy we have a shot at is Santander, because then where does that leave everybody else? I mean, I guess the Red Sox and Yankees would be in on Santander, so I guess we could lose out that market too. Pete Alonso
just feels too good for us.
He feels too good. Like he's gonna go back to the Mets or be a Yankee. Like we could lose on that one too. And then where are we at? Carlos Santana. Like that's legitimately what we're looking at as an actual reality. That
realistic offseason right now. This is like I still think that this could be in play for us, and we could do it. It still requires work. Anthony Santander, Sean Manaea in the pitching. That's it. That's it. You know, you get your offensive guy in Anthony Santander, and then you get a starting pitcher in Sean Manaea. No, it's not as sexy as Corbin Burnes, and of course it's not as sexy as Juan Soto, but it's something.
What about a bullpen? What about a closer?
Well, we've kind of addressed bullpen already.
Like getting Jimmy and trading for
Jimmy and Nick Sandlin, and then by getting Manaea, you move down Yaro Rodriguez. Listen, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible, right? They've already come out and said it's not outright said, but it feels like now we've dealt with that, right? We've dealt with that, and now we're looking over here. Right? Tell me I'm wrong, man. Tell me I'm wrong.
Dealt with the bullpen, like fuck. Everyone.
Tell me I'm wrong,
man. No, but it's funny because I've kind of come crash down to earth, and Chris saying I've seen the line I have. Sean Manaea and Anthony Santander is awesome offseason. Well, for our expectations, you know?
Like that's what I mean. Do I think that makes us a playoff team? No. Do I think that even gets us to like 80 wins? Still need other things. You need other things to go right.
You need Bo to be Bo.
You need Bo to be Bo. Yeah. You need other. You need some health. You need the rotate. You can't have Bassett fall off any further. Like
I think
it's possible.
It's possible we get 80.
It's possible. But like that's on the upper side of things, right?
I think you could make an argument our bullpen could be better, which is crazy to say. I know, but like a full year of Eric Swanson, assuming there's no more injuries, and then like another year of Jimmy Garcia where we hopefully don't trade him, and then like Chad Green, because we never really had Jordan Romano last year.
No,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So like I'm not even factoring that in. But then maybe you go add a little bit more depth. I'm hoping you get one more guy. Yariel's in the bullpen full time all year. We'll see.
Okay, so if you get Sean Manaea and you get Anthony Santander, then upside of your 500 squad.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's like we could be a 500 team again, and like, just be kind of a thorn in people's sides. Not really actually competing for playoffs, but just like we're there, just like playing baseball.
Okay, let's paint another picture here. Let's say we go a little bit higher. We get a little bit more.
But let's be very clear here. Okay. Could we actually see them going higher than that?
No.
Like I think
I highly don't know.
And let's face it too, getting Sean Manaea and getting Anthony Santander, those are a lot of hoops that you got to jump through, right?
Yeah,
like you're still going to be, dealing with a lot of different guys right there to get either one of those individuals, right? So even that for me feels kind of on the higher upper echelon of off seasons.
Okay,
but I just want to put that out there.
Right.
Continue.
The reason why I'm going higher is because, are we go make these moves to get 81 wins? Like, that kind of sucks. If you really are serious about going back to the playoffs, you need 88, 89 more wins, or not more, but you know what I mean, 88 or 89 wins.
Minimum.
Minimum, right? So what gets us there? Do you think we win more games with Pete Alonso or Anthony Santander?
Pete Alonso.
Pete Alonso. Okay, so let's get Pete Alonso. Win more games with Sean Manaea or Jack Flaherty? That one's tough to tell, actually.
Honestly, like that's
tough. It's probably equal.
Maybe Flaherty because he's younger, but like it's okay. One of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. Like, do we maybe get to 84 wins and plus a bullpen closer? The thing is, the point I'm trying to paint here is like we're kind of missing out our window of like you either got to get Corbin Burns or you're not winning. You're not going to the postseason next year.
Well,
you know what I mean.
Let me ask you this though,
yeah,
Dick. Even if you get Corbin Burns, let's say you get Corbin Burns and Pete Alonso, which they're never going to do.
No,
they're never going to do that.
Right.
But even if you get Corbin Burns and Pete Alonso, does that give this team 15 more wins, which is how many more wins we need to even that'd be 89 wins that we'd have. 15 more wins from those two guys to then get to 89 wins and maybe even have a shot at playoffs. Well, I don't even know if 89 would get you in. But.
See, Pete Alonso has 2.6 WAR, so that would give you 2.5 wins right there. And then Corbin Burns, he's going to get you a 3.4 WAR. So let's say, now we're at 6 wins because it's the half, so you make up for it. You add Andres Jimenez, that's 4 wins right there. Actually, he's got a pretty good. So let's bring it back down to earth. It's 3 wins. So it's 9. Okay, and then that's still not enough. You need to go add more bullpen. You honestly, you need to add Pete Alonso and like an Anthony Santander. And then you're kind of in the reality. But
that's the thing. At that point, I can start seeing a path.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually what it takes for me to start seeing the path. Because then, okay, I can convince myself Jimenez will do good. And honestly, 3.6 WAR from Corbin Burns, I could see that going higher. Yeah. That was a down year from Pete Alonso, too. If he ends up hitting that 40 home run mark, then that's going to go higher. Right. Bo Bichette, can we get a couple wins out of him?
Can we get 4
Like, I can start to convince myself as to how this is going to work and how this is going to make sense. But yeah, like doing less than that, it gets very, very difficult. And it does feel like right now, I guess to tie all this together, that we are most likely going to be doing less. We're still in on Corbin Burns, but a report came out relatively recently. Now, keep in mind, I think this was Hector Gomez or one of those guys. But a report came out recently that said the Blue Jays have the highest offer right now for Corbin Burns. So if you take that at face value in saying that we have the highest offer, that's actually not a good thing because he isn't signed yet.
Yeah.
And it's clear that the offer's on the table and the money still isn't talking.
He doesn't want to come here.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. He does not want to be a Toronto Blue Jay.
So as much as it is a good thing because we're in the mix and we're putting money on the table, the money's not talking.
No.
That's what that says to me.
We were saying money will talk. Yeah. It's not.
We could have the highest offer and still not be enough. So the highest offer, you got to do more than the highest offer, right? So this is why it's so difficult, right? And I don't think that they're gonna want to go crazy. Like if they're already at the most, they're not gonna want to go more, which is what you're going to have to do to actually have the money start talking. Wow. It really is a tough situation to be in, man.
We're screwed. Like seriously, man. Like we're doing everything we can apparently, and we still can't get across the finish line.
And that's why I want to be very clear as well.
Right.
These reports are. Some of them are right, some of them are wrong. Right. You never really know. I'm sure that, as the offseason progresses, like come February, we're going to hear some other report that it's the actual truth and it's like, hey, this is the number that they were at. So, but again, if it is to be believed, then yeah, we got the most money on the table right now for Corbin Burns and he's still not coming here, which means that either Ross and Mark have to go above and beyond that or we just miss out entirely and have got to pivot to one of these other dudes.
That's what it comes down to, man. This management's got to find a way to get it figured out because as you can see, we painted the picture. A lot needs to go right to have this team get back to contention. Now, I did want to bring this up because this was pretty interesting. Remember our former Blue Jay, Jordan Romano? Remember that guy?
I do remember that guy.
He was pretty good for us, right? Well, now he's a Philadelphia Philly. And what happened with him and the Blue Jays as well, the Blue Jays cut him outright because they said, we don't think you're $7.75 million worth of next year. Well, the Phillies actually came out and said, we actually think he's more than that. We'll give him $8.5 million. And he went over, signed with the Phillies, and he had his press conference recently, and they asked him a lot of questions. And Mike Wilner was talking to him. And was basically saying that, ask him to reflect on his time with the Toronto Blue Jays, his time here and all that. And I just want to take this little snippet here because he talked about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right, in that conversation. I want to bring this up. He loves it here, is what Romano was saying about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think he needs to get what he deserves. He's such an incredible player, such an incredible guy. The guy's an absolute rock star, blah, blah, blah. We're basically gassing him the hell up, right? And he also said this, Vladdy deserves to get paid. Okay, so there you go. I saw some people in the chats talking about like, well, what about Vladdy? Well, everybody, and this is no surprise here. This is not even like news. Everybody knows Vladdy deserves to get paid. Whether it's going to be the Toronto Blue Jays or not has yet to be determined, right? And based on what we're seeing right now with the Blue Jays mismanaging this entire offseason, the last few offseasons mismanaging Jordan Romano, which we can talk about in a little bit. I mean, it's just more fuel to the fire of like, wow, this is more important. As the days goes on, there's not going
to be a single person that comes out and says Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not worth the money.
For sure. But as the days go on, it's just putting more fuel to the fire that this is going to be a shit show.
Yeah, of course.
This is going to be a shit show.
No, I mean, everybody needs to strap in and get ready for what's going to be a really trying time, and it's going to be frustrating, folks. I'm not looking forward to this in the slightest because we know how this Blue Jays management operates, and it's extremely frustrating. But this is the beginning of what's going to be considered the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. sweepstakes year. And it's tough because every home run that he hits, every RBI that gets scored, everything that goes down, everything, or alternatively on the flip side of things, every strikeout, every injury, every whatever, all of it is also impacting his future here, right? His contract, the amount of money, the interest from other squads, for good or for bad, right? All of it. Literally everything that happens. When the season begins, it is now Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s audition for free agency. If it's good, that means more money. If it's bad, well, I don't even know what the fuck that means at that point.
If it's bad, we're in a weird situation.
What do we do?
Do we pay him that $500 million? Do we? Because that's the thing is, I'd be afraid if he had a down year. And let's be honest, it's pretty hard to do what he did again last year. It's hard to do, even for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. If he does less than that, well, what kind of number is Rogers Communications?
I know it gets really complicated, right? Like, let's say Guerrero. This is a good thought experiment, right? Let's say Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Has the season that he had in 2023 again. Right. And if you guys aren't familiar or don't remember, I believe it was a 788 OPS. The fact that I know these numbers, I hope I got that right. I might just know that one off the top of my head.
So, what did you say, 788?
I said 788.
Yeah, 788.
Yeah, see, I just know, I know these numbers like the back of my head, man.
You're looking at that reference page.
But it's like, yeah, so if he does that again, he has a 788 OPS with 26 bombs, 94 RBI. It's like still a good year, but not a $500 million year. It's going to be interesting to see like what the market is. How do they react if you're the Blue Jays? Like, I wonder if his market starts to look a lot more like Pete Alonso's market right now.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, is this would it be better for the Blue Jays if Vladdy underperformed next year? I've thought about that because if he does what he did last year, if not better,
right,
like he's gone. Like, someone's going to go nuts and give this guy the world. But if he underperforms, here's the thing. You could be like, oh, well, then we'll be willing to pay the price tag, but will we? Because what kind of number is this front office going to output?
And
it's
then
not going to
also,
look like the one that he wants.
If he underperforms, though, then you're also back where we were a year ago, where now there's question marks surrounding what type of player he is. And at that point, I think you've had enough of a sample size to go, okay, in his best years, he's amazing, and in his worst years, he's good.
He's above average.
But it's kind of like a Matt Olson guy, where it's like you roll the dice, and like every year, it's like some years he's incredible, other years he's like just really good.
Yeah.
Right?
And may I remind everybody, remember when the Blue Jays were willing to go to arbitration with Vladdy to argue $1 million?
That was fucking dumb.
It was the dumbest thing in the world. So again, their valuation outputted something different where Vladdy said, hey, dude, I'm effing talented right here. Look at, I have the ceiling of winning MVP. I've done it. And it's not like I'm like terrible in the years that I'm down. Right? And I think he went to fight arbitration. What was that? Was that 2023 or was that last year?
That was last year, man. That was literally last year.
Yeah, like that's ridiculous, right? So, point being is this management will go to like major extents, like major lengths, to fight over every dollar. Well, and that's a bad formula of getting it back.
And also, point being, I mean, like, this is going to be terrible watching because, like we said, every good thing he does, the value goes up, and then every bad thing he does, it just gets more confusing as to what do you do? What do you do? This is why I don't even want to think about this. Right. It's like you just get him to an extension as soon as possible, as Romano was saying, as other people are saying, because this is going to get really tough to navigate, and I'm not jealous of the management and Ross Atkins who are going to need to deal with this. because I don't know what the right answer is once the season starts. I don't know. If he's doing good, but then we're doing bad, do you trade him?
Do you trade him?
Like,
I don't know.
you know, do you have the balls to make that choice if that's there? If he's doing bad, but the team's doing good, what then? What do we do then? You know, like
you hang on.
I don't know.
And wait. I don't know.
It's just it's weird. I hate it. Something needs to change, and the only way that something is going to change is if that $340 million that you offered goes up by $100 million.
That's it.
Which, let's face it, probably isn't going to happen.
No, I don't think those calculators they have there.
They don't go that high.
They don't factor the Vladdy percentage. It's just they don't factor that in. They don't factor in the fact that he is greater than most of people in the world at the game of baseball at his age. So they don't have that. But this is actually a quick shameless plug, everybody. I saw someone in the chat saying, pay the man, everybody.
There you go.
We got our new t-shirts right here dropping this holiday season. Pay the man. You can get it in black. You can get it in the white. This is to get the momentum going to pay Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Show if you are going to the ballpark, and I know probably a lot of you don't want to go to the ballpark because we're protesting this team, but if you are, show up with the pay the man
That's
t-shirt
the thing.
and let
Like,
yourself be known.
if you're gonna look, we can protest, folks, by not going, or you can go support the boys, but also protest at the same time by saying, pay this man.
Pay this man.
Dude. Pay this man. I'm sure Guerrero would love that. Actually, I know he would love that.
Yeah, of course he would love that.
But I anticipate that, I was worried when we were dropping these T-shirts that, like, oh, he's going to get extended, and then it's, well, it's,
Then
why would
what's
you
the
wear
point?
Yeah, but I anticipate that this is going to have a solid year-long shelf life.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, I anticipate we are still going to be in 12 months' time, except, talking about the free agency conversation,
Yep.
but talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and his potential contract. So, yeah, pay this man, guys.
Pay this man. Go click the link in our description right here, nationgear.ca. It'll bring you to our brand website. You can go check it out right there, everybody. So that's that. Also, I want to finish one more conversation with Jordan Romano. I saw this on a TikTok, and I thought it'd be a good talking point in the show. I brought it up a little bit earlier during that whole segment that the Phillies paid Jordan Romano $8.5 million to play for them next year, where the Blue Jays weren't willing to pay him $7.75 million. Now, the whole conversation was, well, maybe the Blue Jays do get him back on arbitration, and if they're really worried about the risk, you can then trade him. And apparently that could have been a possibility. It's all of a woulda, coulda, shoulda. But if you did pay Jordan Romano, who's coming off an injury, then if you were really worried, maybe you could send him off for other guys.
That's the thing. I mean, I think that this is, like, I get it, right? Because, they paid more than what we would have paid, which means that maybe they would have been willing to send, some small prospect away to go get him or whatever. I think that this is a hindsight 2020 thing. I think that, you'd be giving the Toronto Blue Jays management a ton of credit by saying that, well, they knew that other teams were valuing him more, and therefore they paid him with then the plan to trade. I don't think they're that smart, guys. I think that they had an evaluation which was, we don't think he's worth this much. Didn't factor in what anyone else was thinking about him, and then let it go. Right?
You're right.
I think it really is that simple. Now, yeah, hindsight being 2020, it's like, okay, well, they could have paid him 7.75, then called up the Phillies, then said, hey, do you want to give us your 25th ranked prospect for him? And who knows? Maybe they would have said yes, but they also might have said no too, because at that point, it's like, well, do we want to do that? And maybe they go to pivot to somebody else. So I'm not so upset about it. It is what it is.
You convinced me. All you needed to say was, I don't think they're that smart. You're right. They wouldn't have had that foresight.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
Right?
I mean, they literally can't see the Vladdy thing coming.
Yeah. So Jesus. It is what it is. And also, that is a lot of moving parts, and you never know what would have happened. Maybe no one would have traded for him at the end of the day. So I think it's fine. I hope that Romano does really well with the Phillies, though.
Yeah,
I think
too.
that he will. As much as I would, because then it's like, you should have signed him back. I always knew that they should have signed him back.
Yeah, me too.
I really hope that he does good work over there and puts up for the Phillies.
I agree. Also, one more shout out before we give a shout out to the sponsors video. A lot of people have been asking to see Bo Bichette's hair. All right, what do you think, Nick? What do you think of Bo Bichette's new do? It's all gone. It's a nice low fade. Thoughts?
It's gonna take some getting used to for me. I think. I think I can see how it's going to grow on me for sure.
Yeah. I fuck with it, actually. Like, it felt like there had to come a time when the cutting the hair would happen. I always knew it was coming, and you know what? This is a growth thing for Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
You know, it's a symbol of his growth.
You know what? Honestly, man, I think I'm going to like it a lot better if he bats 300 and, you know, has over 100 runs. So I think if he does that, I'm gonna fall in love with it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
I agree, guys. So let us know your thoughts about Bo Bichette's hair in the comments and on our social media. Let's give a quick shout out, everybody, to the sponsor of this Blue Jays Today show.
Whoa, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below to join the action. Only available in Ontario. Must be 19 years of older to participate. Please play responsibly. Now, everyone, back to the content. Shout out to Betway, everybody, for being absolutely phenomenal. We've kind of been hitting on some of the bets we've been telling you guys to do recently. You know, I know Adam hit on one, a big one yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're following along with what we're saying, and if you are actually betting the way that we're telling you to bet on Betway, you're probably making some money right now, guys. So scan that QR code right there, everybody. It actually does help the channel out a bunch to scan that thing. They're tracking all the numbers, everybody. So if we still want to get paid, it would help out quite a bit.
More content, you gotta.
But seriously, though, there is some good lines for tonight's game: Bears and Minnesota. For those football fans out there, if Adam Canning's in the chat right now, some interesting implications right here, man. I'm kind of cheering on the Chicago Bears, but you know what? They're just not that great, and Minnesota is pretty great this year, even though I hate to admit it. That being said, though, Bears have been keeping the games kind of close recently.
Yeah, they have been, and this is a divisional game, and you know, it's very close. The spread is plus 6.5. I actually like that a lot for the odds. I'd be okay with tossing some on the Bears right there. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Where are you kind of at, Nick?
I think honestly it's a Bears spread for me as well. But be okay with losing money because the Chicago Bears at any point could completely screw everything up. Also, I see everybody in the chat right now saying Heyman. I don't see anything from Heyman right now, guys. I don't see nothing at all from John Heyman. There was something 3 hours ago saying that Seawald and Conley are also still available, and teams very slow to grab proven relievers this winter. I don't know. He's talking about the Dodgers. There ain't nothing from John Heyman right now.
Trolling.
Yeah.
But
hopefully there is some stuff soon, though, everybody. Like, seriously, it sucks for us. We don't like talking about all this speculation about who we may or may not get. Just go out and fucking do it.
Yeah.
We're at the sidebar right now. We're going to have Joe Siddle on the show. We're interviewing him later today. That podcast is going to be coming out tomorrow morning. And we're going to talk about the Andres Jimenez trade, and then I imagine it's going to transition to everybody just being like, why aren't we signing people, and why aren't we doing things?
Who do you like out there for a power bat, Joe? If you guys have any questions that you want us to ask Joe, let us know too. We can bring it up like this is one of our fan questions. So throw it in the chat if you so please to do so.
Yeah. But Joe Siddle is the best, everybody. I assume he's going to give some pretty good insights and give his thoughts as to why they are or aren't doing certain things. Let's take some of your questions right now, everybody. We asked you guys to submit stuff on the mailbag, and you guys have done a great job at that. The mailbag is full now.
It's so full.
So we're going to answer a couple questions here. Before we get to it, though, quick shout out to everybody that's watching. If you haven't already done so, please hit that like button and smash the subscribe button. Can we get up to 100 likes, guys? It's completely free to do so. If you listen to this channel regularly, why are you holding out on this, man?
Come on, guys.
Smash the like button. We would appreciate it a lot. Just helps the channel and get more viewership and gets pushed to other audiences.
Let's start with a fun one right here. I actually really like when we kind of have a change of pace when it's not just free agency talk. This one's coming in from Riley asking, hey guys, been watching for a while. Love your content. Thank you, Riley. My question is, what is your guys' favorite MLB uniforms ever? Now, that's a great question, and there's a lot of options to pick from. Now, I'll be completely transparent. I'm sure there's a lot of uniforms before the 90s, 80s, 70s that are probably really great. I'm not going to pick any of those because I don't have a full sample size, and also I'm born in 1998, so
that's fair.
I kind of just started watching baseball 26 years ago. So of the ones recently, I've got to say, hands down, I like the jersey that is owned by one of the worst teams in all of baseball, and actually was the worst team in all of baseball last year, which was the Chicago White Sox. I gotta admit, I like their alternate City Connect jerseys, the South Side jerseys. They're like, that's a jersey that I would wear to like a fancy bar or like a a bar, or going out to a club or something like that. Like, it looks so smooth and sleek. It's nice. I gotta admit, those Southside City Connects are my favorite.
I get it, man. I do get it. I was actually just looking through some of the City Connects myself because I know there's a bunch that I like, and I think I've decided that actually the Colorado Rockies for me are so cool. Like, it literally, like, it all ties in beautifully together, and it looks like a beer. Like, legitimately, it reminds me of, like, what are those ones that have, like, the mountain that gets cold and shit like that?
Like Coors Light, no
sponsor. Is that what? Yeah. Like, literally, like, it reminds me of that. I just think that they're really sick. Like, they got, like, the white on top, which is, like, the snow, and then they got the green in the middle. It's really, really cool, everybody. So that's probably mine right there. But you guys let us know in the chat, what are your favorite jerseys, either right now or from the past? Great question there from Riley.
I love it. And I mean, there's so many other good City Connects that I really, really love.
They've done a really good job. I like the Jays as well, but I'll be honest, like, there are definitely some out there that I prefer more than the Toronto Blue Jays, like the Rockies, I like the White Sox as well. I like the Padres too, because they were like bright.
Those are cool. Those are fun. I don't really like bright, fun jerseys, but those ones are just, I mean, they remind me of California.
And honestly, like, I think it fits well with the team.
I
like,
agree.
I'm
They're
like, this
team.
feels like Fernando Tatis Jr. to me.
Yeah.
And, like, that makes it good.
Agreed.
Another question here coming in from Boo asking, would you trade Orelvis and Bloss for Byron Buxton, who has 4 years, $60 million left on contract? What would you trade for him?
Darn.
So Byron Buxton is a very quality talent for sure. Granted, Orelvis Martinez, top prospect for the Toronto Blue Jays. Jake Bloss is, number 3 in our system, I believe it is.
Yeah.
So he's right up there as well. That'd be number 2 and number 3, or number 1 and number 3, I believe it would be for the Toronto Blue Jays, because Ricky Tiedemann isn't that high there anymore. Byron Buxton is a phenomenal talent. The problem with this is, though, the guy can't stay on the field to save his life.
That's the thing. He's literally the only maybe full complete season he had was back in 2017 when he was MVP 18, when he played 140 games. Other than that, the highest was last year at 102. And again, like, awesome when he's on the field. Has some of the best stretches where you're like, damn, this guy's MVP. And that's why he got picked first or second overall in the 2012 draft. But no, I mean, now he's 30.
That's the thing.
Legs are going to start to give out, especially after all these injuries. And yes, it is a very cheap deal. Like, don't get me wrong, like 7 years, 100 mil. If that worked out for the Twins, like, that's awesome. That'd be a steal of a deal. But it's not anymore, just of how hurt he was, especially giving up our number 2 and our number 3 prospects. Can't be doing that. Can't be getting another guy like that.
I also think, like, from a Twins perspective as well, like, because that deal is so cheap and like, you're still a squad that wants to compete. I don't really see them wanting to trade that away.
Unless you got 2 top prospects.
Maybe. But I think, like, from their standpoint, it's like that deal is so cheap. Like, we're gonna roll the lottery because, like, ultimately the year that he is fully healthy, we're going to the playoffs.
Right.
Like, that's actually what's going to happen. If Byron Buxton stays on the field the whole year, they might win their division, go to the playoffs. Remember, he just can't do it.
Remember in 2023 when we faced them in the AL wildcard? Like, that was a scary lineup. And they actually just got Byron Buxton back from injury.
Yes.
So, like, he was barely on the field. But that was a scary team, especially when they had, what's his name? Royce Lewis.
Yes.
When he came back from injury.
Both of them, same deal, right? When they're on the field, incredible, and just cannot stay on there. So, probably wouldn't make that trade, but I imagine that it'd just be a tough one to swing in general. Quick shout out here to Phil Bourne with the $690 donation right there. Thank you very much. Saying, how about Santander, Alonso, Manaea/Buehler, trade for Naylor and a closer, then get some pitching, then get some solid pieces. Oh, shit. By trading Guerrero/Bichette. Holy
Jesus
mother of
Lord.
God.
I can't even picture all those moves.
This is moving pieces right now. Phil, living. Okay, maybe you're new here. Maybe, I don't know how long you've been a Toronto Blue Jays fan for, though, man. All that sounds great. Like Santander. Maybe I don't trade Guerrero, but okay, maybe you trade Bichette if you bring in Naylor and Alonso and Santander. Maybe you do all that stuff, and you bring in Manaea too. All that sounds incredible, dude. There's never ever gonna be an opportunity. I don't even think we make one of those moves.
Yeah, we're saying, fuck, if we could even do 2, it would be like an 80-win team.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, thank you for the dono. That's just like a lot going around, and I don't even know if the team even knows what they are anymore. Like, who are we? We're just
That's
a
the
cast
thing.
of characters.
Yeah.
Like, hello, nice to meet you. What are we
I don't
doing
think
here?
so. I'll tell you right now, the one thing that wouldn't make sense there for me would definitely be a Guerrero trade, because if you were to go out and get a Santander and Alonso and all these other guys, you're in. You're in.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Why
okay,
trade
well,
Guerrero?
like we're gonna just try to win this year. I could see an argument where you trade Bichette, if it's like, okay, well, you just got all these other hitters, and maybe you can get some relief pitching for Bo and make that deal. But no, Guerrero would stay put for sure. Like, I just don't see a reality where there's gonna be rumors, but Guerrero probably 99% of the time doesn't get traded this offseason, man.
Yeah, I agree. All right, last question coming here from the mailbag. This is an interesting one. We're looking even down the line further. This one's from Bassett Jose.
Shout out.
Asking, give your best projection of the 2016 Jays batting lineup.
Oh, Jesus. 2026.
2026, excuse me. 2026.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Because 2026, this all obviously depends on Vladdy getting extended or not. Like, I'm still holding out hope, but let's play it. I'm gonna play it with the expectation that Vladdy and Bo are gone. If Vladdy and Bo are gone,
do you think George Springer's even still here?
Well,
or we cut him at that point.
Might as well. He's our only selling point. Like, he's our only. He's probably gonna lead the team in jersey sales.
Oh, God.
So you'd have, this would be the lineup, everybody. George Springer would be in right field.
Yeah.
Shortstop would probably be Jimenez now. First base, fuck. I literally have no idea. We just traded away Spencer Horwitz.
Do we make does Orelvis Martinez become a first baseman?
Maybe we make Orelvis Martinez the first. Sure, we'll make Orelvis Martinez.
Yeah,
He's batting third now. He's Guerrero.
He's Guerrero.
DH, Will Wagner. Sure.
Yeah.
No, he's at second base now. There you go. Kirk at catching, and that's his final year too, coming up. Who's DH? I don't know. Ernie Clements at third. Lucas is in there. It's terrible, guys. I mean, maybe Clase's in there. Like, it's just
Varsho somewhere.
Right, Varsho's in center field.
Varsho.
There you go.
He would still be
Right.
I think,
Okay, maybe move George Springer to DH, and then you put in Clase and Loperfido. So your outfield is Dalton Varsho, Emmanuel Clase. It's not Emmanuel Clase, is it? Jonathan Clase. Jesus, it's been so long. Loperfido, and then your infield is Ernie at third, Andres Jimenez at shortstop, Will Wagner at second, Orelvis Martinez at first, Kirk behind the dish. And DH George Springer.
Point being, we don't know.
It would be ass.
And also, let's face it, right? You're talking that stuff right there. I bet that not even half of those guys are, either in there or still playing. Or
we might make trades. We could
be
trade
so
people.
much shit.
We could sign people.
Maybe some of those guys are terrible this coming year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We bring up other guys.
It would be really, really not good. Like
legit,
not good.
One of the worst offenses in the entire MLB.
Again, that's assuming they make effectively no moves. But well, if history repeats itself, then that would be what it looks like. So,
oh boy,
that's where we're gonna call it, everybody. We got everybody in the chat being like, "This is a depressing conversation." So I'm sorry to leave you with that, folks. We are going to be live if anything breaks at all in the Toronto Blue Jays world. We're gonna come back live. We're gonna have podcasts about it. Like we said, tomorrow morning we're gonna have a podcast dropping with Joe Siddle, asking him all of the questions that we have been talking about on here and getting his 2 cents on what the hell is going on this offseason for the Toronto Blue Jays. Lots more content on the way, folks. Fingers crossed they can make a big move before the Christmas holidays come around.
Hopefully so, guys. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to Blue Jays today. $3 a month to become a Patreon member. Shout out, thank you to all of our current Patreon members and to our YouTube members. All of you guys are absolutely awesome.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. And as always,
Go Jays, go!